Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Ockwell-Smith. Welcome to my latest SOS parenting video. Today I want to talk to you about the development of empathy. So how children learn to understand about the feelings and experiences of others and integrate them into their relationships with others so that they become more social and sociable. So what is empathy? Empathy is really just understanding the point of view of others and understanding that other people think and feel differently to you. So your experience of the world is not the same as your friend's experience or your partner's experience or your parents' experience. And it's the accepting and acknowledging these different experiences of the world and these different feelings, and kind of like holding space for them and respecting them. So when young children are little, when they're babies, when they're toddlers, they're all what we call very egocentric. So it's really important we don't mistaken this word and accidentally link it with the term egotistical, which is used as to describe an adult who's just not very nice. Egocentricity and egotistical people are very, very different. Egocentric is a normal stage of development that young children, babies and toddlers and preschoolers will go through. And it simply means that to a young child, they almost think the whole world revolves around them. But really importantly, they struggle with something called theory of mind, or essentially empathy, where they don't really understand that other people can view and understand and see things differently from them. And they think in their mind that if they see something or experience something a certain way, that everybody else experiences the same thing. So there's a great little study that I did long time ago when I was doing my A-levels. So what I'm talking about here is primarily the work of a psychologist, a Swiss psychologist, Jean Piaget. And he has a great experiment called the Three Mountains experiment, which actually I reenacted when I was doing A-levels. I was fortunate enough to go into a junior school, an infant school, so 4-year-olds, and reenact the experiment. So what we have is like a sort of a big papier-mâché mountain range. And you have like little doll figures, like almost like little Lego minifigures. And you will stand one doll sort of one side of the mountain, big sort of papier-mâché mountain range, and you'll stand another doll the other side, and they have very different viewpoints. And if you ask an adult, what can this doll here see? They will say, whatever's in front of me, because they have the same viewpoint as the doll. But if you say, what can the doll round there see? They will say, well, a different viewpoint. And if you show them pictures, they can match up and say, yes, that's what that doll will see. And it's different to the viewpoint they have, but they know that the doll is around like the corner there and that what they see is different. So that's what an adult will do. And they show that they have an understanding of theory of mind, so related to empathy. But if we're doing this with, say, a 3 or a 4-year-old, a lot of them will essentially fail the task. They will say, okay, the doll here can see this because that's what I can see. And then when you say, well, what about the doll around the corner? And they will very often say, well, they can see the same as me. And they think wherever you stand the doll around the 3D mountain range, that what they're seeing is always the same as what they're seeing if you show them pictures of different views. So what they're doing there is give you an example that basically is saying, I think that this is what I can see, therefore this is what everybody else can see. And that's egocentricity. And egocentricity naturally wanes as a child gets older. But it's really important that they are egocentric when they're young, because they have to work out who they are in the world. But it's also related to brain development, obviously. As they get older, so you start to see a big shift around sort of 4 or 5 years of age, this egocentricity wanes. Why am I telling you this? Well, if you have a toddler or a preschooler, it's really important that you understand that they are not going to see the world in the same way as you. So to give you an example, let's say that you're at a play date and they are with a little friend, like 2-3-year-olds, and one of the friend has a ball and your child wants the ball. So they push the other child over and they take the ball. And the other child is on the floor because they've been pushed over and they don't have their ball, and they're crying because they're hurt and confused. And your child looks at you with a big grin on their face. And you think, oh my goodness, have I raised a psychopath? Or have I raised this like really selfish, egotistical child? No, you're raising a child with a child's brain who is naturally egocentric. What they're not showing is that they have psychopathic tendencies because they're happy. And while their friend's sad, they're basically saying, well, I'm happy because I've got the ball. And they don't understand that the other child is upset because they were pushed over and they don't have the ball, because they kind of think that everybody feels the same as them. So because they're happy, their presumption is that their friend is happy too, which is why they're smiling at you whilst their friend is upset. So this is so normal. What do you do to encourage the development of empathy? The most important thing you can do is to be empathic towards your child. So demonstrate sharing, show model graciousness. The more you can be kind and considerate and caring and empathic towards them, the more that we notice that they'll be kind and compassionate and empathic as they get older. It's not something you have to discipline away. It really is just about you role modeling and guiding them and showing them what to be. One other quick thing I'd say here is fast forward to the teen years, and you get a bit of a dip in empathy. So they start to become quite empathic throughout sort of like the 4 to 11 to 13 years of age. And then all of a sudden you have a teenager, and everybody talks about teenagers being so self-centered, so focused on themselves, so selfish. And they do have a bit of a dip of empathy. And this is really important. They're not going backwards. They're not going to be psychopathic, egotistical people when they're older. What happens in the teen years is they really have to work out who they are, and they have to work out who they are separate from the rest of their family. And in order to do that, they go through this kind of like a bit of a strange developmental blip, in essence, where they have to focus inwards. So they work out who they are. So they become, temporarily a bit selfish, but it's not a bad thing. It's a sign of development. So please don't worry. After you've taught your child to be wonderfully empathic, if in 5 or 10 years' time you think, what happened? Where's it all gone wrong? They will come out of it. By the time they're sort of 17, 18, 19, they'll be lovely again. But you may just get that temporary blip in adulthood. I hope that helped. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about child psychology for parents, you might be interested in a new book that I have coming out in summer 22 called Beginnings. Beginnings is a book on child psychology and development for parents. So everything that, we've just spoken about, brain development, physical development, how your children learn to talk and walk, all stuff like that. If that interests you, it covers from birth to 5 years of age. I'll pop a link up in the corner now so you can click through if you fancy pre-ordering. Otherwise, thanks ever so much for joining me today. Do hit the subscribe button if you'd like to watch more videos. I upload a new one every Wednesday. But I hope you found this interesting. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.